Bonjour, bienvenue au salon GFP. Aujourd'hui, on va parler des 75 français et aussi martini français. So, welcome to GFP Cocktail Lounge. As you can guess, today we're going to feature two drinks that are French in origin or nature. I put in quotes because they're not exactly French. But we'll get to that. So we're going to be doing today two drinks, as I said. The first one is going to be the French 75. That's per request of my cousin Michelle. Thanks for the request, Michelle. And then the second one is going to be the French Martini, or Flirtini. So the French 75 is not a strictly French drink, despite its name. It is basically a champagne-type drink that is related to the old champagne coupes, the old champagne drinks of the 1800s. Those early drinks were basically champagne with a bit of sugar, some lemon juice, and maybe some other things added in. A lot of different variations, a lot of different types of them, and there was no one standard drink. Gradually, a lot of people started adding cognac. Cognac became sort of the thing, the standard that everybody followed. And then early in the 1900s, as cognac became in favor, there was a little bit more variation yet again, and then in 1927, at a bar in Paris, it became sort of the official thing that you would add gin instead of cognac. And so for a long time, French 75 has been known as a gin drink. But more recently, cognac has come back in favor, and today, in fact, if you go to the French 75 bar in New Orleans, they actually make it with cognac, and they feel that that is the correct way to make it. So however you want to make it, you can make it to your tastes, but I'm going to show you doing the gin version today. And now a little bit about the name of the drink, and this is basically the only French in the drink. The drink, as it says, named the French 75, and it's named after a particular piece of artillery that we used in World War I. See, in World War I, the French were getting their pants beat off pretty badly, until the Battle of the Marne in 1914. In that battle, the French used a 75mm cannon that they had been working on for a long time to great effect. And they won the battle, and it turned the tide of the war, basically stopped the Germans from advancing and taking over Paris and probably all of France. Now, as many of you may know, especially the historians or the history buffs or World War II buffs, the U.S. eventually entered the war and helped in the effort, and the Allies ended up succeeding in pushing back Germany and stalling their attempts to take over the continent. So the gun was actually so powerful and so impressive that the U.S. military, after seeing it in action in France, started using it themselves, and they even brought it back to reverse engineer how it worked. I'm not going to go into all that, that's a whole other history lesson. But all you need to know is the French 75 was a very powerful gun. And the concept is, or the legend is, that this drink was named after the gun because it's also a powerful drink, because you're combining gin with champagne. So with that said, let's go ahead and make it. So it's a pretty simple drink to make. We're going to start off with some gin. Now, the traditional recipe calls for 1 ounce of this. As many of you know, we do heavy pours here, so I'm going to actually make this with 2 ounces, but I would suggest you might want to do it with just 1 ounce to start with and see how strong that is for you. There's our gin. Then we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. And I'm using the 2 ounce thing, but I know I'm eyeballing where that goes. Then we're going to use a 1/2 lemon. I'm not going to give that a full squeeze because I don't know if you could see how much juice came out of that, but a full squeeze probably would have been too much. You're aiming for a 1/2 ounce, so you basically want to use the same amount of lemon juice as you use for simple syrup. So you know it's I'm kind of eyeball it there. I'm just going to give that a little stir with a spoon to mix that up a bit. And now the distinctive part is we're actually using Prosecco, but really calls for champagne. And in fact, some people say it's really not a real French 75 unless it has champagne in it. But we like Prosecco here in this house, so we're going to top that off with Prosecco. And you should be using at least 3 ounces, probably 3 or 4 ounces of champagne or Prosecco with that. And then, because we always like to have a nice little garnish, I took some raspberries earlier, washed those off, and stuck them in the freezer so that they would be frozen. Drop that right in there, let it float to the surface. And there you have a French 75. So now, let's do the French Martini. The French Martini is it's one of those funny drinks that was actually created by a liquor company, although they won't tell you that today. In fact, they've not admitted that officially ever, but there's been good word that, in fact, it was created by a liquor company. And the liquor company in question was Chambord. Now, Chambord is a French drink. It's a cognac-based drink using raspberries. By the way, this is how it gets that it's a French martini. Again, not really French, but sort of French. So French martini is a vodka martini usually. You could probably do it with gin as well, but traditionally we do it with vodka. So we're going to go ahead and build that. We're going to start with 4 ounces of vodka. Now we use Ketel One, that's what we prefer, but if you really want to try and make it as French as possible, you might want to use Grey Goose. Alright, then we add an ounce of the Chambord. And if you've never had Chambord, it's definitely worth a try. It's a rich raspberry, sort of like a cross between regular raspberries and black raspberries. So I just realized that I put 2 ounces of the Chambord in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and double this up. And make 2 drinks out of this. So 4 ounces of our vodka. And then last, we're going to add pineapple juice. It's 2 ounces per drink, so where I'm building this as 2 drinks, we're going to be putting 4 ounces in. And those of you that watched the last video will recognize my repurposed Filthy Olive Brine container, which does make it handy to pour almost any liquid. All right, so that's our pineapple. Add some ice. We're shaking that up. My martini glass here. I'm going to put raspberry in there. I want to give this a good shake. You may remember from, I think it was our last one, the painkiller. With the pineapple juice, you want to get it nice and frothy and really aerate it. That gets the flavor of the pineapple out. And you notice that froth on the top? That's from shaking it up. And there you have the French Martini, aka Flirtini. So I hope you've enjoyed those. Keep drinking responsibly. Be safe, be healthy. Until next time, au revoir.